Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. What happened next changed everything. Let's start our movie right away. Sammy Moore suddenly shows up at a church. He appears hurt, with claw marks on his face, and he's holding just the neck of a broken guitar. Meanwhile, inside the church, his father Jedediah, who is the pastor, is praying. When he sees Sammy, he informs him to come in, and tries to comfort and calm him. Jedediah persuades Sammy to leave his music behind, follow God, and repent. But Sammy says nothing. He just holds on tightly to what's left of his guitar. As his father speaks, Sammy has a vision, which someone is hurting him badly. Just then the story goes back to what happened the day earlier. Sammy's cousins, twin brothers named Smoke and Stack, return to Clarksdale after living in Chicago, not knowing they've stolen money from some gangsters and are waiting for someone. Soon, a car arrives. A man named Hogwood, who used to be in the KKK, steps out. He sends them to an old sawmill. Smoke and Stack want to buy the place and turn it into a juke joint for the black community. They hand Hogwood a bag full of cash and warn him, if he or any of his clan friends come back, they'll be killed and eliminated. The twins go to pick up Sammy, and together they head to a hidden roadside spot where they've stashed a truck full of alcohol for the big opening party at the sawmill. Suddenly, a snake slithers out, but Smoke kills it immediately. After checking the truck, Smoke suggests they wait and open the juke joint next weekend, but Stack insists it has to be tonight. Smoke agrees but says they'll need to split up. Someone has to guard the truck, so Smoke stays behind while Stack and Sammy go to set up the juke joint. Smoke starts the truck and drives into town to meet some old friends. When he gets there, he spots a little girl and asks her to keep an eye on the truck. He tells her,
If somebody come and look a little too long, I want you to lean on this horn, all right? Can you do that for me? 20 cents. Best I can do. We got a deal?
She agrees, and he heads inside. Inside, he meets his old friend Bo Chow and his daughter, Lisa. Smoke asks for help with a sign and other things needed for the sawmill's opening night. Suddenly, the girl blasts the horn. Smoke runs outside and witnesses two dudes trying to steal the truck full of alcohol. Without hesitation, he shoots one in the back and the other in the leg to show he's not joking. One of them recognizes him and quickly apologizes, saying he didn't know it was Smoke's truck. But Smoke shoots him again. The townspeople watch but don't panic. Actually, they know the twin brothers and respect them. Smoke walks back inside and gives Bo Chow some money to handle the dudes he just shot. Then he says he needs someone to make a sign for the sawmill. Bo calls out to his wife, Grace, and she agrees to do it. Smoke hands her $14 for the job. Meanwhile, Stack brings along Sammy, who dreams of being a blues musician. They head to the train station to find an older blues singer, Delta Slim. To get attention, they have Slim play a song right there, drawing a small crowd. At first, Delta refuses the job, but when Stack offers him some Irish beer they plan to sell at the party, Slim agrees. Just then, Mary, a childhood friend of the twins and Stack's ex-girlfriend, shows up. She's upset they never sent flowers or even a message after her mother passed away the day before, revealing that her mother was like a mother to them too. At the same time, Sammy meets Pearl, a married woman. He flirts with her and invites her to the juke joint's grand opening. On his way back, Smoke sees his old friend Cornbread working in a cotton field alongside his wife, Thiers. Smoke pulls him out of the field and hires him as security for the juke joint's opening, then drives off. Later, Smoke visits his mysterious wife, Annie, who practices voodoo. Actually, she isn't happy to see him. When he offers her money to help with the house, she refuses, calling it blood money, not knowing they once lost a child, which still keeps them apart. Annie tells him her voodoo has been protecting the twins all this time. As the sun sets, an Irishman named Remick, covered in blood, rushes to the home of a racist couple, Bert and Joan. He begs them to let him in, offering gold in exchange for protection from Indians. They let him inside. Not long after, a group of Cho men arrive and warn Joan that Remick is dangerous. She doesn't believe them and sends them away. After they leave, Joan enters the house and is surprised to find that Remick is a prominent vampire. He bites her and Bert, turning them both into vampires too. Meanwhile, the brothers open the juke joint, and a big crowd pulls up, but getting the place ready costs them a lot of money. Stack and Annie talk to Smoke and suggest letting some people pay the entry fee with scripts instead of cash. Mary is also let in without paying because she's Black Mother's daughter. Stack brings Sammy on stage to play. His music is deep and soulful, and the whole crowd falls silent, mesmerized. The sound is so powerful to the extent that it begins to summon spirits. Suddenly, black musicians from different times and places appear inside the juke joint, joining the celebration. The building seems to burn with energy, but no one stops dancing. The powerful scene catches the attention of Remick, Bert, and Joan. The vampires come to the juke joint pretending to be traveling musicians, drawn in by the sound. They play a bit of music, trying to win their way inside, but Smoke senses something fishy and refuses to let them in, even when they offered to pay. As they are about to leave, Mary steps out to talk to them. Knowing the brothers need the money, they hand her gold coins, but then Remick's eyes flash red, and he starts drooling. Realizing something's wrong, she pulls out her gun and turns to leave. Suddenly, Remick flies at her, turning her into a vampire too. At the same time, Cornbread steps outside to relieve himself, leaving Slim in charge of security. Meanwhile, inside the juke joint, Sammy sneaks off with Pearl. He starts pleasing her in a private room, unaware that Smoke and Grace notice what's happening. Mary is let back into the juke joint. At first, she tries to seduce Smoke, but then turns her attention back to Stack. The two head into a room and start getting romantic. Meanwhile, trouble brews on the floor. One patron slashes another across the face with a razor after being caught using loaded dice. Smoke steps in to handle it and tells Sammy to go get Stack, but Sammy feels too awkward to interrupt and hesitates. Smoke ends up going himself and walks in on a horrifying scene. Mary is biting into Stack's neck. Looking stunned, Smoke pulls out his guns and empties them into her, but she doesn't die. Instead, she stands up furious and promises to kill everyone before vanishing into the night. Smoke rushes to help Stack, but it's too late, he dies. Smoke and Slim quickly clear out the juke joint, sending all the guests home. Only a few remain inside: Smoke, Sammy, Annie, Slim, Pearl, and Grace. Just after the doors close, Cornbread shows up and demands to be let in. Annie senses something is off and tells him to leave the place. Cornbread then demands his wages. When Smoke reaches out to pay him, Cornbread, now a vampire, lunges and bites his arm. Smoke reacts fast and shoots him in the face, forcing him to flee. Annie now realizes they're dealing with vampires. Things get worse when Stack, who had died earlier, suddenly reawakens as a vampire. At first, he pretends to be fine and asks Smoke to open the closet door. Smoke goes to find a key, but Stack explodes out of the closet. Annie splashes pickled garlic juice in his face, sending him running from the building. Meanwhile, the vampires outside start singing and dancing happily, turning the rest of the guests, including Bo, into bloodthirsty monsters. A growing horde of vampires gathers outside the juke joint. Leading them is Remick, along with Mary, Stack, Bert, and Joan. Remick steps forward and reveals the truth. The brothers were set up by Hogwood, the Grand Dragon of the KKK. Hogwood had planned to send Bert and other clansmen to kill the twins and everyone at the juke joint. Stack confirms the story, saying he saw the memories himself after turning, but Remick says he doesn't share the clan's racist beliefs. What he really wants is Sammy. He believes Sammy's music has the power to summon the spirits of his long-lost people, so Remick offers the group a deal: become vampires, live forever, and escape the pain of racism and death. But when they refuse, he threatens to kill Grace and Bo's daughter, Lisa. Realizing there's no escape, the survivors prepare for battle, gathering stakes, loading guns, and hanging garlic. Grace boldly yells at the vampires to come inside. She charges at her vamped husband Bo with a stake, setting both of them on fire in a blazing sacrifice. Slim cuts his own arm to lure a group of vampires away. Before she turns. With a heavy heart, he does it. Watching from a distance, Stack and Mary feel a flicker of humanity return as they react with grief and horror at Annie's death. Smoke and Stack end up in a brutal fight outside. Sammy tries to escape from Remick. The vampire slashes Sammy's face, matching the scar seen earlier, but Sammy fights back, grabbing his guitar and ramming the silver piece into Remek's skull. Just then, Smoke appears and drives a stake through Remek's chest. As the sun rises, Remek erupts in flames, and the rest of the vampires are burned to ashes with him. Knowing the clan is on their way, Smoke tells Sammy to run and save himself. Then he loads up with weapons and hides, waiting. When the clansmen roll in, he starts shooting, killing them one by one. He even throws a grenade at their vehicle. During the shootout, he's shot in the gut, but he doesn't stop. He kills the rest, one after another. Finally, it's just Hogwood left. He begs for his life and offers money, but Smoke kills him too. As Smoke lies dying, he sees Annie's spirit and the spirit of their lost child.